I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Today we talk about finding hope and healing in what sometimes feels like a broken world. The holidays make it tough to balance joy, celebration, and responsibility. The recovery community has special challenges, but plenty of hope and ability to cope. So like us all in tough times, friends and family can make a world of difference. And joining us from Celebrate Recovery and Lutheran Church of Hope is Melissa Dale to help us understand the needs of the recovery community and maybe some of the needs we all share in these holiday times. Melissa, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, Peter. It's a privilege to be here. Yes, holiday times are something else. I am a Celebrate Recovery minister at Lutheran Church of Hope in West Des Moines, Iowa. I am a person in long-term recovery. I've been in recovery from many things for 19 years, including drugs, alcohol, gambling, all kinds of different stuff, codependence, anxiety, depression, you name it. I've probably been there once or twice. And holidays can be really hard for a lot of people.
So now when we look at the holidays, we have a recovery community. And tell us a little bit about how big that is and what you're doing at Hope. And then I want to ask some questions for the rest of the world to sort of get a feeling of how important it is to look at this idea that you've mentioned to me called pre-covery.
Yeah, so at Lutheran Church of Hope, we have a program called Celebrate Recovery, and it covers all kinds of things. We call it hurts, habits, and hangups. It's not really a specific drug or alcohol or anything specific, because we all have pain, we all have suffering, we all are trying to deal with something at some point. And people that are dealing with things can get stressed out, which leads them to addictions and acting out in different behaviors. So coming to a program like Celebrate Recovery is kind of like you said, pre-covery. We get into pre-covery because we're actually doing self-care and maintenance when things are getting heavy and it's hard to just deal with life on life's terms. We need more support, and we need people who understand maybe what we're going through. If this is your first year without somebody in your life that you've loved and cared about, that can be really stressful in and of itself. You're going through some grief and different things. So come to a program like Celebrate Recovery. Get some support around you. Like I said, it's not just for addictions and stuff. It's for anything. We always like to say that if you still have a pulse, come to Celebrate Recovery. There's something there for you.
Now, we know that Celebrate Recovery is a faith-based system.
Yes.
And we know that this time of year also invigorates a lot of people with faith. I mean, some people maybe only go to church on Christmas or,
yes,
an Easter. And so, one thing we notice with people that are in recovery is that all of the celebration and stuff going on often includes things like alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
What do people that aren't, if you have somebody that that's in recovery, how do you deal with the idea that you may have alcohol at a party you invite them to?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And I can totally relate. There are people that I've gone to parties and there'll be alcohol there. And for a person that's in recovery, it can be very intimidating. It's hard to feel like you're having a good time if you're not participating. But if you're inviting someone to your home who is working their hardest to stay away from something that is really cause devastation in their life, it's really good not to have that there. Now, it truly is up to that person. For example, if it's me and alcohol is hard for me, then it's my choice as to whether or not I'm going to attend somewhere where there's alcohol. But here's the cool thing about recovery. There's a difference, and I want to point this out. There's a difference between abstinence and recovery. So if you're just abstinent from a drug or alcohol or gambling or whatever, and you're just like, I'm just not going to do that, and then everything will be fine, that's okay. But what's going to happen is when you are confronted with alcohol or something else, you're going to do what we call white knuckling it, and you're just going to be holding on for dear life to get through that moment. I don't want people to have to white knuckle it. So recovery is more about having a plan, having a support system, and having people that you can call upon, and having numbers that you can reach out to so that you get the support that you need in order to face any type of trigger. Because let's face it, going to the grocery store in the holiday seasons. There's alcohol on sale. There's stuff like that. There's bonus gambling things. There's turkeys and food and pies, and depending on what your hurt, habit, or hang up is, triggers are going to be everywhere.
Yeah, how many of us just throw away the eating restrictions and say, "Oh well, I'll make up for this next week," which is
That's
not
me.
necessarily the healthiest approach. But I have seen a trend. I will say, seeing the recovery world have more influence, I have seen a trend where there are more people that have parties without alcohol.
Mhm.
I know my son's home; he doesn't drink, and he doesn't have alcohol at parties. But they have a wide selection of non-alcoholic beverages, and I think that makes everybody feel somewhat comfortable. Now, in
Yes.
your own personal journey, did you find, I mean, I know I have friends that aren't in recovery, whether they should be or not, that would be their choice, but they get a little bit anxious and maybe a little bit down during the holidays. Now, is that something that happens to people in recovery as well?
Yes. So recovery is a really broad term, and you can be in recovery, like I say, from alcohol and drugs, but you can also be in recovery from depression and anxiety and grief. And maybe you've worked really hard to not be down in those dumps, so to speak. And you find yourself in the holidays, a lot of people feel very lonely or disconnected. And so uh, each person is responsible for their recovery and to figure out what it is that's going to keep them from being stuck in a rut, so to speak.
Wow, that's neat stuff. Well, we're going to take a short break. We come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Melissa Dale from Celebrate Recovery. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzz and overshared again?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
that's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Every second, 127 new devices connect to the internet. You can feel it happening. Our digital world expanding with every breath. We're entering a whole new era of connectivity, and MediaCom will be ready to power it with one of the nation's first 10G platforms. We'll be bringing you more speed, more capacity, more security, and the power to do more than you ever dreamed possible.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and we're talking with Melissa Dale from Celebrate Recovery about the special challenges and opportunities we face during the holidays. And I was fortunate enough to several times visit you and your Celebrate Recovery evenings down at Lutheran Church of Hope. And the one thing I noticed, I mean, you can see it. You can see the people with the furtive glances that they're the first time and negotiating their way to meet people. And you can see the overwhelming spirit of family between all these people. And so, I mean, you're generating a sense of family, a place for people to build new friendships, to have those parties. Like I know you're having a big one at the church tomorrow where those risks of being exposed to things that might make you relapse aren't going to be there. How is it that you've been so effective at building this sort of family approach from a program that really brings people in from a lot of different places and socioeconomic strata and different colors, skin, and religions? I mean, this is just a melting pot of people that are becoming a family.
Absolutely. We call it forever family at Celebrate Recovery. That we recognize, because of our own individual journeys, we recognize that sometimes home isn't the best place to be. Sometimes our own family is the trigger, or maybe that was the source of pain or other issues that were going on. And we know that what we're walking into is we are all alike because we're all different. And we know that we are bringing baggage in, whether we are rolling the baggage in or dragging the baggage in, so to speak. We all know that we carry it. And you know what it's about? It's about acceptance. It's about acceptance of accepting who we are right where we are. The newcomers walk in and they have no clue what's going on. And so those of us that have been there for a while, we really want to make them feel like they just walked in. Well, we want to make them feel like they just came home. We like to say welcome home on the very first time. We like to tell them that, when you look around this room, you are looking at forever family. And even though all of our issues are different, because every single person's story is different, we have a solution that's the same. And that's what really binds us together is even though somebody's story might be, maybe it's prison and drugs, or maybe it's affairs and cheating, or maybe it's pornography or overeating, whatever it is, something brought people to this point of needing support, love, and acceptance. And that's what we want to meet people with right here. And that is a lot of times what people don't get at home. A lot of times, if the family is not in recovery, they don't necessarily accept you yet because they haven't gotten rid of their own hurts of the past. So we like to provide a nice, safe home. And I tell you, we on a holiday like Thanksgiving, we see anywhere from about 75 to 100 people come in and just excited to be around Forever Family, and because they don't have to worry about triggers and bad things happening. This is a place of acceptance.
Yeah, even a strange guy like me walking around feels pretty accepted over there.
Absolutely.
I hear a lot of people I don't know if they're in recovery or not, but you hear things. I heard a comment the other day at a grocery store when somebody was lamenting the cost of presents, food, and the coming months. And then the woman made a comment, well, I'm just going to fake it until we make it and deal with all the problems after the first of the year. Now, we know that the most difficult times for mental health breakdowns, for suicides and things are right after the holidays. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I've noticed about structured recovery programs like Celebrate Recovery is that there's an authenticity about these issues. It's not a fake it till you make it. It's if I recognize there's a problem, I reach out and try and deal with it, which is something more and more people are probably going to have to learn to do as we see these trends of mental health evolve in this way. We're in a world that, look at the news and look at everything going on. It's so scary. When a person in recovery is going through all this, they have some place to turn to. Are they also sort of ambassadors for this kind of movement in their own communities and amongst their friends?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people out there. I always say that anybody who has a pulse should be in recovery, whether you believe that you have an issue or not, because it is stressful. This world, if you just turn on the news, anybody can be just triggered by the news. It's so sad and it's so depressing. And this world, we live in a broken world. And, I think that a lot of us go through a day where we feel like we're just putting on that fake smile. And I always tell everybody, do not approach me with that 4-letter F word, fine. Don't fine me. Don't tell me that you're fine. I don't want to hear fine. Fine is not a word that I want to hear. I want to hear what's really going on for you. We want people to know that they can be their authentic self. And, if they're just trying their very best to get into a recovery program or a community, then all they got to do is walk in the door.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation about finding help, healing, and reasons for hope in difficult times. See you all after the break.
Today, more than ever, you need fast, reliable internet. At Mediacom, we want you to know you can count on us. Our fiber-powered 100% gigabit technology network was built for the future. We have enormous capacity and power and 99.99% network reliability. So even though these are uncertain times, we're prepared. And you can be certain we'll keep your world connected.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're talking about recovery from substance use disorder and addiction, mental health, and how the coping skills and practices are ways all of us can use to handle the pressures of the holidays. Melissa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. I like to talk about this piece because it's something near and dear to my heart. So many people believe that they relapse when they've drank or when they've used or when they've screamed and yelled or fallen prey to their own stinking thinking that they're actually acting out, maybe having an affair or pornography or gambling. That, I want to say, is the end of the relapse. The beginning is long time before that. It starts way before we get to the using and stuff. We really need to be in a position of looking at what our next relapse looks like. And I'm going to tell this quick little story. When I first got into recovery, I had a counselor and he said, "What's your next relapse look like?" And I'm like, "I am not going to relapse. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do anything." He said, "That's where you're wrong. If you don't recognize it coming at you, you're not going to see when it's on you." So what my next relapse looked like was I wasn't good enough to prepare that meal and have everybody join in and make everybody happy. I wasn't smart enough for my husband to love me, and I wasn't good enough. And that opened my eyes to what my next relapse looked like. It would happen when I didn't feel good enough, strong enough, or pretty enough for someone to care or love me. So I want to encourage everyone to kind of take a look at their own life and say, what does my next relapse look like? Long before it hits them.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you take an accounting of it, we know when we've slipped.
Mhm.
We can almost look back and see the origin of it and then kick ourselves just saying, why didn't I notice that at the time? So
Yeah.
this is something you have to work at. It's an art form. It doesn't come naturally, huh?
It is. And it's a matter of being aware of what keeps you healthy and what makes you tick. See, that's what the recovery process is so beautiful for. Abstinence just says, I'm not going to use no matter what. But recovery says, when I'm confronted with these things, because the steps of recovery take you through a process. And in that process, you become very, very self-aware of what your triggers are, what hurts, and it gives you an out. What do you do when you hurt? So that you don't reach for a bottle or some pills or whatever hurt, habit, or hang up you reach for to self-medicate. What do you do instead? So recovery gives you tools, it gives you people, it gives you skills, it can teach you to pray, it can teach you all kinds of things so that you never have to go into that space of using or abusing whatever thing it was that got you to recovery in the first place.
Wow, you got me thinking because all of us with families that see each other infrequently and then you gather for a holiday. I mean, there is a room filled with triggers.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that sense of family was built sometimes not perfectly. And because you're not together all the time, those imperfections can get lost. But when you bring everybody in the same room, it's a whole different world. So we know that in recovery, you're targeting specific issues, you can really map out triggers. But what about people that maybe haven't acknowledged you're recovering from anything? And, for some people, the word fine might be a trigger, but how do people that haven't had the experience you had in recovery, because I know you're widely respected throughout the state by the governor, by a lot of organizations to give us a view inside of recovery. But what do you see inside of the rest of the world that should learn from recovery?
Yeah, and especially when we're talking family issues and stuff, what I want to suggest is that people in recovery are probably the most grace-filled people there are because they've been there, done that. And when they see others that maybe need some form of recovery, they can approach them with grace and love. Now, when you get into your family, sometimes they have no clue and they don't have the grace and love yet because they haven't had recovery. So when you walk into the long lost family you haven't seen except for last year, and you see a room full of dysfunction, or you got weird Uncle Al out there doing something or whatever, you got different people. The thing I want to say is, don't take other people's inventory. Meet each other with love, grace, and respect. The people that are fighting hard for their recovery and their betterment are people that really could use your love and respect, but they also are ones to tap on the shoulder and say, how did you get there? Don't be afraid to open up to somebody. And this is whether you're in recovery or consider yourself in recovery or not. Maybe you're just sitting there going, I wonder if I could benefit from recovery. I want to say, tap on somebody's shoulder and say, do you see this in me? And what can I do about that?
Wow. I love it. After a short break, Melissa, we hope you can share some comments with us, some insights and inspiration. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this.
Every second, 127 new devices connect to the internet. You can feel it happening. Our digital world expanding with every breath. We're entering a whole new era of connectivity, and MediaCom will be ready to power it with one of the nation's first 10G platforms. We'll be bringing you more speed, more capacity, more security, and the power to do more than you ever dreamed possible. Today, more than ever, you need fast, reliable internet. At MediaCom, we want you to know you can count on us. Our fiber-powered 100% gigabit technology network was built for the future. We have enormous capacity and power and 99.99% network reliability. So even though these are uncertain times, we're prepared. And you can be certain we'll keep your world connected.
Welcome back. Today on Surviving Bad, we're talking about faith, hope, and healing in a world so often full of stress and anxiety. Let's see what insights and inspiration our guest, Melissa Dale from Celebrate Recovery, has to share. Melissa, you've got some important things to share with our audience before we're done today. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I was thinking about our holiday season and some of the things that kick up. I have a thing called the Christmas tree light syndrome, and that's where you drive around your neighborhood and you see all the pretty lights on people's houses, and you think they have the perfect life going on. And what you don't know is that somebody was freaking out earlier in the day, trying to get those lights exactly right. They were trying to control someone to do the exact right thing, and they became very angry and disoriented, and it became a whole fiasco. And nobody's home now because everybody left, and those lights are just looking really great. What I wanted to talk about is the fact that people become so scared of not having the postcard picture life or holiday or whatever, that they forget and they miss the reason for some of the seasons. Now, that comes out in ways of anger, codependence. It can come out with control issues. It has to be this way or else. And I just want to take and encourage everyone to take a breath. You know, our home life, our lives can be an exact reference of what's going on inside of us. Let's make it calm. Let's bring it down a notch. If the lights don't go up perfectly straight, that's okay. Because one of the ways that we get the mental health stuff off of our shoulders to where that anxiety or that depression and stuff is to become, again, I mentioned earlier, self-acceptance. It's okay if three of the lights are green and one's blue. You know what? It's okay, you know? So just take a breath and then reach out for help if you feel yourself in those positions of, I'm just overwhelmed. I have too much on my plate. I don't feel like I'm good enough. Because if you do that while it's early, then you're not going to reach out to something that is harmful to you in the long run.
Yeah, you know, I've noticed and heard often that one negative experience, you know, you lash out at someone or you say something negative, or takes like 9 positive experiences to outweigh them, because by human nature, we're scared.
Mm-hmm.
We're humans. We grew up scared. We didn't have the comforts and protections we had, you know, that we have today. So we still have that fear. And once you have one of those events, especially if you know it takes 9 positive things to fix a negative thing, then you got guilt, you got shame, you got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. How do you intervene? How do you, like, if you're in a room and something like that happens, how do you share the love to help that person instead of leaving them in their own private silo of shame and anger and fear and you know, trying to figure out how can I now do 9 positive things in the time we have over supper, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, this remaining calm, you remaining calm and not jumping on the bandwagon with someone who's having an anxiety attack or fear or grief or ego things. If you yourself remain calm and encouraging and loving and accepting, that is going to go far. Think how many that's loving accepting, calming, all of these things. You can hit nine positives really quick by just not acting out and jumping on the bandwagon. We're really, a lot of people are very quick to become just as crazy as the other person, you know what I'm saying? Just as, and we don't need to be. We can be chill, and we can call upon a power greater than ourselves to restore us to sanity. That's actually step 2 in a program.
So when you come to visit somebody, get together with friends, you not just bring presents maybe, but bring those positive vibes, bring that compassion, bring those good words that can help people feel better.
Absolutely. Don't bring presents as in gifts, but bring your presence. Be present with them. Be that person. A lot of people just want to be heard. They just want to know that they matter. And, you just sitting down alongside of them and putting your arm around them and say, it's okay. Don't say everything's fine. Say everything's okay. I'm right here for you. We've got this.
Now, when you work with your community and you have a big deal going on tomorrow, well, it won't be tomorrow when the show airs, but
Right.
You do a big Thanksgiving thing for all of your family and friends there. They've learned a lot of these tools and they work together. What do you think happens after Thanksgiving and as they go out in the community? What do you think the biggest things they carry with them in the little bit of time we have left? The messages that they carry in their hearts when they go out into the world.
Yeah, the people that are anywhere that are in recovery, that are going out in the world, are showing people that we become powerless over all of the outside influences of the world, and it can make our lives really unmanageable. But we can understand that there is a power greater than ourselves that can restore us to sanity, and we can turn our will and our lives over to the care of that power. Our higher power at Celebrate Recovery is Jesus Christ, unapologetically. He is our higher power. There are other programs that are out there. The higher powers are different, and that's okay. It's what gets you through. But honestly, I feel like the self-acceptance is really important.
That's fantastic. Melissa, thank you so much for sharing today. And thank you all for watching. We can check out our website at healthyiowa.org. Keep your eye on MediaCom MC22 for our next episodes. And stay tuned to MediaCom MC22, your local programming leader.